What's up, garden nerds? Today we're gonna nerd out over the mulberry tree. I'm gonna give you 5 reasons why you should have a mulberry tree in your yard. Come on, let's go. Reason number 1, you should have a mulberry tree in your yard. They are extremely easy for beginners. In another video, I talked about my favorite fruit tree for beginners. That was the peach tree, but coming in a very close second is the mulberry tree. Guys, the mulberry tree is extremely easy to grow. They're also extremely hard to kill. If you do not have a green thumb, but you're trying to start to learn how to garden or how to grow fruit trees, or if you're trying to add some shade or some greenery to your backyard, start with the mulberry tree. It's easy. You can't kill it. You stick it in the ground, you feed it, you give it some water, it's gonna grow fast. And suddenly you're gonna have a green thumb. And then you can move on to other things. But it's awesome for beginners. If you wanna begin, start with the mulberry tree. Reason number 2, you should have a mulberry tree in your yard. They are extremely fast growing. If you guys take a look at this thing, it's 3 years old, and you can see how huge it already is. And guys, this last winter, in order to strengthen up the branches, I trimmed the crap out of this sucker. It was probably 6 feet tall in winter. It was probably as tall as me, maybe a little taller, maybe as tall as I could reach. That's as tall as it was. And now here we are, 2 months, 3 months later, and you can see how tall it is, 15 feet tall. And by the end of the summer, it'll probably add another 5 or 10 feet. So they're extremely fast growing. If you need to add shade in your yard, or you just want a big tree for whatever reason, and you want it fast, like most people when it comes to gardening, if you're impatient and you want a big tree that grows fast, the mulberry tree is a tree for you. They are extremely fast growing. Reason number 3, you should have a mulberry tree in your yard. They offer shade. Guys, one of the main reasons why I grow all the trees in my yard is because I hate Arizona summers. I hate the sun, and that's all you get in Arizona. And so I love the mulberry tree because the mulberry tree offers instant shade. Like we talked about, it grows extremely fast and it gives good shade. So this mulberry tree, right now, the leaves are really low, but what I'm planning on doing next year, as it's even bigger, is I plan on cutting the canopy up above my head. So it's like 7-8 feet tall so that I can walk under it. And this is the area next to my pool. Look over there, you see my pool. I want the kids to be able to swim and then come and jump under the mulberry tree and get some shade. So if you want to shade your yard and get away from the horrible Arizona sun in the summer and cool down your yard, the mulberry tree is what you need. It offers almost instant shade. In a year or 2, you can have great shade in your backyard, which is a commodity in Arizona. And the shade that the mulberry trees offer is invaluable when you're trying to start to grow more fruit trees. So if you're trying to get into tropical trees or other trees that require a little bit of shade, like most tropical trees, they want morning sun, afternoon shade. If you try and throw a mango tree or a banana in the middle of your yard and there's no shade, it's not gonna work out. So if you start with the mulberry tree, let it grow, let it offer some shade, then at that point you can add in other trees that are maybe a little more sensitive, and the mulberry tree acts as a parent tree. It nurtures the trees and it offers shade so that these other trees can start to thrive. So if you're starting and you're wanting to grow a fruit forest or have tons of fruit trees in your yard, start with the mulberry tree because it offers an awesome microclimate that will help and assist you as you start to grow other trees. So this is the first tree you want to plant. Reason number 4, you should have a mulberry tree in your backyard. They don't take a lot of water. A lot of objections that I get from people when I tell them that I grow fruit trees in Arizona is, man, that must take a lot of water. You're wasting water. But hey, with the mulberry tree, if you're trying to save and conserve water, you're good. They do not take a lot of water at all. So this guy, I deep water once a week. I just throw the hose down there, let it go on slow drip, and I water it once a week for an hour. That's all I do. And as you can see, it's very healthy. The leaves are very healthy. They're not lacking in water. They're happy and healthy, and they don't take lots of water to look like that. So reason number 4, they don't take a lot of water. They grow fast. It's a no-brainer. Reason number 5, and probably the best reason to have a mulberry tree, is the fruit. Guys, the fruit tastes fantastic. People ask, what does it taste like? Almost like a blackberry, maybe, like a raspberry. I don't know, it just tastes really good. The neighborhood kids, they all, from March until, well, we're almost to June, it's still fruiting. It fruits nonstop. And all the neighborhood kids know that, and they all come over here. They love to swim and then jump out of the pool and grab the mulberries. Usually we keep a ladder right here and they climb up and they eat mulberries all day long. My kids love it. Their faces get stained with all the awesome fruit and they can eat it nonstop. What better way to feed your family than with a mulberry tree? And guys, it doesn't just fruit a little bit. You come out here every morning, you can pick 50 to 100 pieces of fruit, eat them all. The next day you come out, and again, there's another 50 to 100 pieces of fruit. From March to June, this thing fruits nonstop. Gets you tons of fruit. Then you can freeze it, you can make it into jams. I've tried ice cream. There's so many things that you can do with it, and it all tastes fantastic. Like I talked about with the peach tree, again, my favorite fruit tree for beginners, because it gives you tons of peaches. The same thing is true with this. If you're trying to start out with fruit trees and you want something that gives you instant fruit, this is your guy. In the very first year that you plant this, it's gonna give you fruit. And each year after, it's gonna give you fruit. You're gonna have tons of fruit. It's gonna be awesome. So that's reason number 5, the fruit. The fruit is a beautiful thing. Go and get yourself a mulberry tree. All right, guys, so anytime we talk about mulberries, anytime it's brought up, there's a lot of things that I hear about it. There's a lot of negativity around a mulberry. People always have a reason why you shouldn't have a mulberry tree. We're gonna talk about those things. They're all false. Let's talk about number 1. You can't have a mulberry tree, it's illegal. I get this all the time. For whatever reason, people think that mulberry trees are illegal. They're not. There's 2 types, male and female. A male, all it does is put out pollen. That can hurt people's allergies. A lot of people suffer from it. So in some states, I think historically, the male mulberry trees have been illegal. This is a female. It doesn't put out any pollen. All it does is put out awesome fruit, like we talked about. Mulberry trees are not illegal, guys. You can have one. I'm not a hardened criminal growing a mulberry in my tree. They're sold at nurseries around the valley. Nurseries aren't going to be selling mulberry trees if they were illegal. They would get shut down. So don't say mulberry trees are illegal. They're very legal, and they're an awesome tree that you should have. Another objection or a negative thing that people talk about when it comes to mulberries is, oh, I can't have a mulberry tree. They stain. If you're really worried about that, do like I do, and I planted this in the corner of my yard. I put it away from my house. I put it away from any cars. I put it away from any patio because I didn't want to have to worry about having stains. But I actually, when the kids eat the mulberries and they go in on the pool deck, there have been stains. And at first I was worried about it. But in 2 or 3 days with the hot Arizona sun shining on my pool deck, the stain was gone. So what I thought was a horrible thing and a stain that was there forever, I didn't even have to scrub it. I just said, oh, let's see what happens. And literally, guys, in 2 or 3 days, the sun just bleached it away and there's no stains. So don't let that hold you back. And if you're still really worried about it, there are white versions of the mulberry that aren't gonna stain at all. So if you're really worried about it, go get yourself a white mulberry and you'll be good. But guys, don't worry about the stain. It's not gonna happen. Don't let that stop you from getting a mulberry. All right, and the last negative thing that people often associate with mulberries is, oh, they're invasive. Their roots are gonna take over my whole yard. They're gonna uproot my house and it's gonna be horrible. Guys, mulberry trees are not invasive. You can see this one, I have it about 10 feet away from my pool deck. I'm not concerned about it at all. If you are concerned about it, all you need to do is practice proper watering techniques. Like I talked about, I deep water this guy once a week. What do I mean by deep watering? A slow, steady drip. What does that do? That makes the water go deep, deep down into the ground. If the water goes deep down into the ground, where are the roots gonna go? They're gonna go deep down into the ground, and then the roots won't be an issue. If you're shallow watering or if you're just spraying around the ground every day, the water's not going deep. And so where are the roots gonna go? Well, they're not gonna go deep. They're gonna be on the surface of the ground because that's where you're watering. And so then you may see some roots that are invasive and that are messing up your concrete. But if you're watering correctly, which you should do this with all your fruit trees, all your trees in general, if you're watering deep and slow, that's where the roots are gonna go, and you're not gonna have issues with the roots. They're not gonna be invasive. You're gonna be okay. So anytime someone tells you, you can't have a mulberry tree, it's gonna ruin the foundation of your house, don't listen to them. I promise. Water correctly, and you're gonna be okay. All right, guys, so now you know the 5 reasons why you should have a mulberry tree in your yard. And you should probably not only have 1, you should have 2 or 3 or 4, because they're gonna create an awesome microclimate in your yard. They're gonna give you fruit. They're gonna make you feel like a gardener because they're easy. They're gonna give you awesome fruit, and your yard is gonna look awesome. Don't listen to all the negative things about the mulberries. Listen to all the reasons I gave you and go and get yourself a mulberry tree. You can plant it anytime. You can plant it right now. It's hot, it's June, but you can plant it and it will grow and it will be just fine. And by the end of the summer, you're gonna have an awesome tree. 3 years from now, you're gonna have more fruit than you could ever eat. So go and buy a mulberry tree today. I promise you'll be happy that you did. Guys, make sure you like this video. Comment below any other videos you want me to do about different trees or different plants or different garden, whatever you want me to do. Comment below and let me know. And please subscribe to this channel. If you subscribe, it helps me a lot. I can keep making videos just like this one.